talking a little bit. I met our community via the internet because I live 700 miles north of here. But I feel we're still connected here. And when people look at me and they say, "You don't look native," I tell them it's not what you see here, it's what I feel here. And if you don't like it, that's not my problem. My name is Carl McKay. My ancestors forged the Fort Capel Métis community, along with Cuthbert Grant, during the Pemmican Wars. Around 1815, took a flag from Cuthbert Grant. And that's how I got excited about learning about the Métis. Who were they? So it went from there, and it took me years and years. And slowly I learned why my uncle was adamant that I learn my genealogy. I learned my heritage that was stolen from me from the foster care system in Saskatchewan when I was taken during my adolescence, while my dad was trying to teach me the traditional ways in the Capel Valley at our farm. I received this sash at a Métis 60 scoop healing ceremony that was addressed to the Premier of Saskatchewan by Glenn McKay. I was gifted this by the President of Southern Saskatchewan of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, and I bless Wendy Gervais for doing that. Thank you, Wendy and Glenn McKay. I will go on more about the genealogy now that I have a little bit of history about my own history. I do have some ancestors that married their children here after they left the reservation in Pembina, and it shrunk because America shrunk it on us without our permission and wouldn't buy it for 10 cents an acre. Thanks, Little Show, for standing up. So I learned that, and this is how I grew to learn about our traditional heritage that's all connected and intertwined, one way or the other. When I learned that, I found a census record of Leonard McKay and his wife Sarah Lambert that are on the McCumber rolls as Parkaharquan. When I found his census record in Regina Beach, Saskatchewan, which is the last known census record I have for Parkaharquan, we couldn't find his burial. But as soon as I found that census record, I found that he identified himself as Cree, but his wife was Ojibwa, or at least according to the census takers. Sometimes they like to fudge the numbers, right? So they did. Anyhow, as soon as I discovered that, I told my Métis community, I am Ojibwe. That language tells me that story, tells us that story, and Norman Fleury from the University of Saskatchewan taught me Michif in St. Albert, Alberta, which is a traditional Métis community as well. And I'll elaborate on that further here in a little bit. And that's kind of the story about me. And now I'm going to go on about somebody else that I don't believe is us. His name is Gerald Gray Jr. I have prepared in the past a little bit of a genealogy fan to show everybody a little bit about his paternal side, because I don't see any native on his maternal side. I don't.
And that's mother's side?
Yes. And so I'm just going to quickly read a couple of paragraphs, and then I'll elaborate a little bit on Michelle Gray that migrated to the U.S. in the 1880s, right around the time Riel was here. Louis Riel. The genealogy of Gerald Gray Jr., born 1966, the son of Gerald Gray Sr. and Joanne Levichuk, is documented within the contents of this document. The research is conducted utilizing public records and stories passed on through generations of knowledge keepers and elders. History cannot be rewritten as we relearn our shared historical knowledge. Truth is achieved by sharing data with others. Lessons are learned through humility and wisdom, as inclusive to the seven sacred teachings. Below there's a fan here of the genealogy. If y'all get a chance, just go on and the social media pages that we put up, and it just shows the genealogy that I prepared, exposing that Gerald Gray does not have any Chippewa. I couldn't find it, at least on the hereditary side of his paternal lineage. And I kept going, and so I'll elaborate on the bottom paragraph. After analyzing the above paternal lineage of Gerald Gray Jr., it is clear that the name Gray is documented throughout history, including surviving as a prisoner of war during the War of 1812. Subsequent to the War of 1812, the Gray family marries into existing Indigenous communities and participates in the fur trade until eventually residing on the Blackfoot Reserve here in Montana. When William John Gray arrived in Montana, he was about 2 years old and was born at Fort McLeod to Michelle Gray and Caroline Campion. Michelle Gray is a grandson to Chief Coraconte, Iroquois legend. A description of Gerald Gray's paternal lineage will be elaborated on detail in this as this document unfolds the genealogy of Gerald Gray Jr. And I'm open to questions on anything that people might have. I'm just going to quickly elaborate on Michelle Gray and why I think he ended up here with William. And it was because the Christians formed the territory of Alberta while dissolving Assiniboia territory, which was traditionally just above the medicine line, ran along the medicine line. And when that happened, Alberta started to build its own legislature, and the natives scattered. The settlers came in, took all the land, everybody was fighting. They just followed Riel. Riel was trying to get everybody to unify. And the government made that happen by assimilating us and forcing us to do that. We knew our shared knowledge before that all happened. And they squished us all together. And so Michelle Gray was one of those that got squished together. However, I didn't see him on the Chippewa side or the Macumber rolls. Like I looked hard. I looked for 3 weeks on those Macumber rolls, cross-referencing Indian names and settler-given names, and I couldn't find it. I even invited their tribal staff to provide me the documentation on the Chippewa that your chairman claims, because I'm not applying to that band as a Chippewa until I have a Chippewa chief to report to. And so that's what brought me here. This story, I couldn't sleep for 3 days when I heard it. My ancestors are speaking through me every day, every morning, and they are linking us together today, and they have brought me here spiritually to walk the truth and learn the truth together. No matter how difficult it is to say, in my voice might shake, we have to have these difficult conversations if we're going to forward the truth and reconciliation process. Thank you for hearing me this morning. I won't